pleasant day, just gorgeous, upper 70s today. Tonight, mid-60s, also gorgeous. Tomorrow, pretty nice, near 80, and maybe some late afternoon showers or thunderstorms. 591-5656. I would like to hear from men who believe that they are wronged by the law, and from women who either agree or disagree. We were talking about some of the ways that the courts routinely treat men. There's a number of ways. Normally, if you go to any lawyer, he'll say, all things being equal, woman gets the kid. Even in today, where, you know, Phil Donahue got 4 of his 5 children, there wasn't an argument on that. The boys apparently wanted to go with him. Whatever the reason was, that stands as an example. See, men can raise children and everything like that, but that usually doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. A woman has achieved, rightly or wrongly, depending on whatever your point of view is on the pro-life amendments, control over her body, but it means that men don't have control over the results of their body. That if the man wants the child that's created, never happens. If the man doesn't want the child, he'll still have to pay for it if paternity can be proven. And when it comes to draft, what is the attitude from a men's lib point of view of draft?
Well, we'd like to see equal rights and responsibilities for men and women. In this case, the draft is a burdensome responsibility, an exclusively male responsibility, and we'd like to see women share it.
You want women drafted?
Yes. And we supported Jimmy Carter's call for an equal draft, which unfortunately the Congress didn't go along with, and the Supreme Court didn't go along with it either.
Would the Equal Rights Amendment have affected men's liberation at all?
I think so. I think it would have at least gone a long way to resolving all of these issues. It would have mandated equal rights and responsibilities for both men and women. And I think it's the most important tool in bringing equal rights to this country.
All right, now, there are women, and frankly, I expected to hear from more of them, but we just changed subjects here, and they're probably a little slow hitting the phones, 591-5656. I'll give the women's argument to you about a lot of this, which is, you know, men's rights. It's women that have the need for rights, that what happens generally in a divorce is she gets the kid, and he gets not to pay anything, or to visit the children, or give up responsibility, or anything like that. And he goes out with his new young cookie, little blonde that's 22, and gives up the 16-year relationship, and also generally loses the relationship with his children and everything like that, and she is left with the major bills and the major responsibilities.
Well, first of all, I don't think that's true. There are plenty of women who aren't paying child support, as well as men who aren't paying child support.
Are there that many women that have, where the demand for child support has been put against them? I think that's pretty rare.
But the percentage, certainly, but the percentages of women not paying are about the same as the percentages of men not paying. And that's not quite the point. I think this, what you said about men aren't interested, that is a canard. You see, what happens is that the man doesn't get custody. Child support is enforced by the law. Visitation is not. The man has become a visitor. He's become estranged from his children.
Let me stop you there. Visitation is not enforced by the law. I believe you are correct in that. In other words, if the woman does not have the children ready for the man to take away, or if the children are somehow not arranged to be available, or she is angry at him about something else and decides to use the children as a club, no woman gets thrown in jail for that.
Right, but if a man doesn't pay child support, he's likely to land in jail.
So there is not equal protection under the law, you're saying?
Yes, and it's a terrible problem, and it's the man becomes, as I say, estranged from his children. And to say he's not interested in parenting is just wrong. He's kept away from interest in parenting, and of course the woman carries the child and the woman breastfeeds the child. But after that, it should be an equal chance to take responsibility for parenting, and also equal opportunity.
Okay, 591-5656, the number to call. My guest, Dan Logan, Executive Director of Free Men, co-founder of the National Congress of Men. What is Free Men, by the way, before we go to this call?
Free Men is an organization that strives to free men from the limitations of gender stereotypes. We're interested in male identity and sexism's impact on men, and they're very closely related because who we are is determined a lot by who we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see. Linda, you're on 591-5656.
Thank you. As far as just the general point of men needing more rights, I think both men and women have a long way to go as far as the way our society has been raising us so far. But and as far as child custody and divorce, I absolutely agree with you that it is unequal, and I don't think it's good for the children to become estranged from
Okay, but
one
as a woman, if you had an illegitimate child or an affair that resulted in a pregnancy, could you stand for the man to demand that you not either abort or give that child up for adoption because he wanted his child the results of his body?
I would laugh myself silly if he thought if somebody was not willing to marry me, or not interested in that, or
well,
not
what if it came the other way around? What if you weren't willing to marry him, but and
well,
you also
I would
didn't...
not have been in that situation. That may be just as me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking just for myself on this. I would not be in a situation like that to begin with if I was not interested in marriage. But if it seems that since birth control ultimately is the responsibility of the women, from what I hear...
Not necessarily.
Well,
that's not necessarily true.
Theoretically, maybe not. But the way it happens, I don't even... From what I hear talking to friends and experiences of my own in the past, men don't even ask you. They don't even ask you if you're doing anything. Well, if somebody is not going to be involved from the very beginning, they have no rights, in my opinion.
But wait a minute. As two adults, I believe that one of the things we all should be taught is to take responsibilities for our action. And if the man is willing to take responsibilities for his action, couldn't you agree with Dan that through court or whatever, the woman could be forced to bear that child if the man is willing to?
Do you think that to force somebody to have a child that they don't want to go through the experience, and if they're being forced, not even physically, but being forced by some person, what do you think is going to be the good that comes out of that for the three people involved?
Well, I want to clarify my position on this. I'm not crazy about that idea myself. I think that might happen as a result of looking into this and legislation about it. I'm more concerned about the situation in which the woman has a child that the man doesn't want and the man has to support it. To me, that seems unfair.
Well,
I'm for equal rights and equal I'm for equal rights and equal responsibilities across the board. If the man isn't interested in taking responsibility for birth control, I don't think that's good either. I think men and women both should have responsibility for birth control and for that child eventually, all the way through the parenting process.
All right, what about that, Linda? We've seen a number of fighters. Aaron Pryor, I believe, was one just recently who's been forced to pay child support for a child that was obviously begotten by some poor, misguided young lady who wanted to share his favors and wanted a lot more from him that he wasn't willing to give. And he said, I don't want to marry you. All we had was this wonderful night together. And she said, well, I'm going to have your baby. And if you don't marry me, I'm going to force you to pay for the rest of your life. It happens.
Yeah, I know. That's, I would say I probably lean more towards your side of thought on that particular issue, except that the other way of looking at it is that if one person is going to be willing to give their time, the other person, if he's not willing to give his time and his emotional efforts, then if what he has to give is money, that both people have to contribute because it did take both of them to create this child.
Well, I want to agree with that. I just, that's between a couple as to how you share responsibility. And I wouldn't say that you have to do it one way or the other. I just think...
Yeah, but the courts do. I mean, the courts are saying
that's the problem.
That she has the choice of either having the child or not having the child, adopting the child out or not adopting the child, or keeping the child, and if paternity can be proven, having him pay for it. And he has no choice in that whatsoever. In other words, he can't say, get an abortion, adopt the kid out or have it and I won't pay for it. Each of those moments, the man has no choice whatsoever.
I must say, Norman, you're doing so well here yourself.
I can argue the other side if you like.
Okay. Well, at any rate, it's a matter of everybody having maximum options, and the man ought to have an option to be able to parent the child, and the man ought to have an option to be more than just a money machine.
All right, let me argue the other side. Linda, do you have another comment?
No, go ahead.
Okay, because the other side is that let's say a bunch of men run around fathering kids, and then they say, I don't want it, and since I have the right to my body, you have a right to yours, and I go my way, you go yours. The upshot of it is that people who work like Linda and I are going to be supporting those kids by and large.
Well, exactly what kind of situation are you talking about? Let's take a close look at it.
Well, the exact situation you said, where the man has a wonderful evening with this wonderful woman and then traipses off into the night. She now finds she's pregnant. She wants to hold him some more. She says, I'm going to have the baby. He says, don't. She does. She proves paternity.
But he didn't have a say in that.
Okay, but if
he said don't, and she did.
Okay, but if somebody doesn't end up paying, and he can work better than anybody else probably, in terms of a woman with a young child, we're going to pay. It's all
But
going to
he
be on the
had
dole.
nothing to say about it, and the woman did. And I think if she had the opportunity opportunity and responsibility should go together. She had the opportunity to make the decision. She should have the responsibility of paying. There are lots of situations, such as the Serpico case, in which Frank Serpico was tricked into having a baby with an airline stewardess. She testified in court, or somebody testified in court.
What do you mean he was tricked?
She was tricked. She told him that she was using birth control, and she was not. She told somebody that she was going to trick him into having a child, and then she took him into court and she asked for child support. He said he didn't. He felt that he had the should be able to choose parenthood, and the court said, well, okay, but. And they accepted his argument, but they made him pay a small amount, and then on appeal, they've made him pay a much larger amount. And this man is on a pension. He's been shot up quite badly, and he doesn't have a lot of money to throw around. He's got to worry about himself. And this is a child in which he had no decision-making power. She told him that she was on the pill. Then he had no say over whether she was going to have an abortion. She had the child, and she came back at him and forced him to pay. To me, that's terrible.
Linda, how do you feel?
Yeah, that's... Well, I mean, it's certainly, as far as my attitude goes, very unethical. But that's an individual case, I think. And any individual cases that are ever newsworthy are usually very unfair. Otherwise, that you'd never hear about them. But as far as I think the general thing that goes on is, I think maybe both people should give a little more thought to what the end results could be
before they get involved in the first place.
And people
I think
don't
we'd
do
all
that.
agree with that.
People don't.
We could all agree with that people ought to, in their minds, before, we're talking about Saturday night now, whatever's going to happen Saturday night, you ought to think about the possibility of living with it for the next 20 years.
Yeah, and if there, I would think...
A lot more people staying home tonight.
Just as far as the people I know, this could be a very wrong generalization, but it seems usually when somebody gets pregnant that there's an abortion. That's something the girl has to live with for the rest of her life.
Yeah, there's another, men don't get abortions. Linda, thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you. 591-5656. My guest, Dan Logan, Executive Director of Free Men, co-founder of the National Congress of Men, talking about men's rights and the needs for more justice under the law for both sides.
For you out-of-town listeners who are planning a trip to Chicago, one thing you must do while you're in town. Spend an evening at the Como Inn at 546 North Milwaukee Avenue. The Como Inn, since 1924, has always been one of Chicago's finest restaurants. Their extensive menu offers not only a variety of the finest Italian cuisine available in Chicago, but prime steaks and a vast selection of seafood and shellfish. The Como Inn is truly a unique place to dine. It has that international atmosphere, yet with its own original decor. Represents Chicago as it was and as it is today. Their warm and friendly service makes your leisurely dining a true dining pleasure. There's nothing else like it in Chicago. So to make your visit to Chicago complete and an experience you'll long remember, come to the Como Inn at 546 North Milwaukee Avenue, just off the Kennedy Expressway at the Ohio Street exit on the corner of Ohio and Milwaukee. When you're in Chicago, it's the Como for dining at its best.
See, you've got a new calculator, Bill. What'd you pay for it?
Nothing, Chuck.
Nothing?
Got it free from the House of Windows when they demonstrated the Energy Saver window in my home.
Energy Saver window?
Yeah, guaranteed by the House of Windows to save 25% on our fuel bill with a whole house replacement, or they pay the difference.
Oh, sounds interesting. Tell me more.
I'll show you. You see, they're custom made. Got tilt-in panes for cleaning and this built-in security system. And the price was just right. I even got a $50 trade-in for my old windows.
Hey, I'm going to have the House of Windows demonstrate the Energy Saver window in my home.
And get this great calculator free.
Right.
Get your free calculator. Call House of Windows at 725-6340 to schedule a demonstration in your home at no obligation to you. And visit House of Windows at 1755 North Harlem or 7407 North Milwaukee and get a free University of Illinois Energy Saver booklet. So visit House of Windows or call 725-6340 to save energy and money.
Now, those are calculations we like.
Labor Day and back to school are right around the corner, and the hot summer savings are going on at the Buyers Flea Market. You'll find savings on top of savings with hundreds of dealers offering thousands of items. Come on out every Saturday and Sunday from 8 till 4 at 4545 West Division Street, just 2 blocks east of Cicero Avenue. Choose from antiques and auto supplies, sporting gear, furniture, clothing, jewelry, housewares, even produce. Now just listen to this week's sizzling summer specials. At booth 132, Sanyo in-dash AM/FM stereo cassette players with 2 6x9 speakers, and that's just $60. AM/FM clock radios, $15. Booth 60 has everything you'll need in school supplies at low discount prices. At booth 122, men's and ladies' jeans are priced as low as $8. Remember, there's thousands of these terrific buys at the Buyers Flea Market at 4545 West Division Street, just 2 blocks east of Cicero Avenue. Open every Saturday and Sunday, 8 till 4, with free parking for over 1,100 cars. Come on out and have yourself a great day. And my guest in the studio is Dan Logan, Executive Director of Free Men. And Dan brought up in the course of the conversation with Linda the subject of the Serpico case, certainly a famous case. By the way, 591-5656 if you'd like to call in to agree or disagree. One of the things in that case, he said, I didn't want the kid. She said, well, I think she did admit in court that there was some trickery involved and everything like that. In all of this, what about the child?
Well, that's a reasonable thing to ask. But the fact is that it was not his decision-making, and I don't think you ought to be held responsible. You can say that, what about the kid, about any kid you want?
It is the fruit of his loins, though.
Well,
doesn't he have some responsibility?
That ain't much.
Okay, 591-5656, the number to call. Marie?
Yes. I think this man is Dan. I disagree with him altogether. I think men should be more discriminating in who they go around impregnating, you know? And in that way, it makes no difference.
All right, but Marie, doesn't it take 2 to impregnate?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you can't just totally blame the man for discrimination. There was
if he wants to cry about
someone on the other side. Huh?
If he wants to cry about who has the responsibility of the child. You see, there are laws. He wants all the privileges of a husband, but none of the responsibility.
Well, what are the privileges?
Well, having to go to bed with the woman in the first place.
Well, then
Is that
going
all the privileges?
going to bed with the man ought to be a privilege too, so they're even in that regard. So what are the other privileges?
No. You cut that out right quick. You still didn't answer my question. You know. You
See, I think you have a gender stereotype in your mind, which is that the woman is a sex object, and to go to bed with her is the greatest privilege in the world. And I think it's a privilege to go
to. You said that.
It seems that you were saying that.
No,
that is the privilege of being a man.
You said that. The privilege of being a man is picking out the woman that he wants to marry to have his children.
But what you seem to be saying is that the man takes the initiative and the man takes the responsibility for everything, and that a woman is just a tool. She gets pushed around by a man. This is
I didn't say that.
Well, you seem to be saying
You're saying that. No, love is a two-way street. Responsibility of a child.
But Marie, I'm a little appalled that you say he has all the privileges of marriage, which it is the privilege of making love to this goddess.
The privileges of a husband, yes.
Privilege of a husband. That isn't all the privileges.
He wants this.
But that isn't all the privileges of marriage.
Why should he worry about what this woman does with a child that may or not be his in the first place? You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. I think it's just so great.
If he has to pay, I would think he'd worry a lot, because he's got other things to use his money.
That's after the fact. That's after the fact. He should think about who he goes to bed with in the first place.
Well,
right. That's
I can't disagree with that.
And he should have no problem if there's a suit, stating that this is his. He should have no problem if he's been there paying for it or not paying for it. But as far as having the privilege of saying that this is mine and I want it and it's not here yet, no way. No way.
In other words, Marie, what you're saying is the law should only protect women, but should give all the financial responsibilities to men.
No, I should think that men should be more discriminating.
You've already said that. You already said that when it comes down, push comes to shove, the man pays and the woman has the choice.
No. When push comes to shove, a man should be more discriminating in who has his children.
Thank you, Marie. You've said that several times, and so we're going to move on now. What we're going to do is break for the news. I'm going to keep Dan Logan here, Executive Director of Free Men at 212 10th Street Southeast, Washington, D.C. 20003, and we'll listen more to him and your arguments after we break for news.
This is Talk Radio 56, Chicago's only 24-hour talk radio station, WIND Chicago Group W, a Westinghouse broadcasting station.
It's 75 degrees in Chicago. The high today will be in the upper 70s. Good afternoon. I'm Dick Elliott. The first contingent of Palestine Liberation Organization guerrillas set sail from Beirut today, bound for Cyprus, at the start of a 2-week evacuation of the Lebanese capital. The PLO fighters had arrived at the port of Beirut in trucks, displaying banners that read, "Come and see us in Palestinian territory."
The gathering of the first 400 PLO troops today was remarkably relaxed and low-key. At times it was sad, as when several Palestinian civilians who will be left behind began to weep. At other times it had the feeling of a Saturday family outing. Some PLO supporters turned up carrying posters offering encouragement like, "Palestine or bust," and "This is not goodbye." The 20-minute trip through the ruins of West Beirut to the port was more remarkable, however, as the Palestinians and their Lebanese Muslim allies began shooting in the air thousands of rounds of gunfire. It represented an attempt to show the fighters were going out proud, not as a defeated force.
That was Robin Wright reporting from Beirut. An order by U.S. Judge Ellen Sharp barring reporters from talking to jurors in the Joseph Paul Franklin case is being challenged by 8 news organizations, including the Chicago Tribune. Franklin was acquitted on Tuesday of charges of violating the civil rights of Vernon Jordan, who was shot in Fort Wayne in May of 1980. The new wife of a Chicago policeman is being sought by authorities in Illinois and Michigan for questioning in his death. Patrolman Robert Mihalik was found dead yesterday, apparently shot with his own service revolver. The FBI is working with an abortion clinic operator and his wife, trying to discover who kidnapped and held them captive for 1 week. Dr. Hector Zavalas and his wife were released unharmed early yesterday. The Chicago School Finance Authority chairman is pessimistic about school bells ringing on time September 8th.
Mayor Burns' alternative to a property tax increase? Increase class size, the high school workday, close more schools. Union President Bob Healy says, however, that'll force 5,000 board employees to be laid off. He says you'd save the $100 million and cost the taxpayers another $30 million in unemployment compensation. Finance Authority Chairman Jerome Van Gorkum says the mayor's stand has put the board up against the wall.
It is a stand which he has taken, which has made the possibility of a work stoppage or a failure if the schools open on time greater than it was before.
Now,
I'm sure she knows that.
Brent Spielman, WIND News.
In sports, Don Kessinger's 2-run double highlighted a 4-run first inning as the Chicago Cubs greats beat the Major League All-Stars this afternoon 5-2 in an old-timers game at Wrigley Field. Weather in a minute.
The question is, where are you going on your vacation? Polk Brothers believes the perfect answer is Chicagoland. Folks from around the world come to Chicago for their vacation. Why shouldn't we? Everything is here, from museums to great fishing, from the Grant Park concerts to Ravinia, world-famous zoos, parks, golf courses, beaches, hundreds of intriguing ethnic restaurants, and Chicagoland's Polk Brothers stores, another Chicago landmark, the world's largest center of brand names, and for over 1 million Chicagoland folks, the only place to go for indoor and outdoor better living. Backyard fun with a Weber or Charm Glow barbecue grill, and a Weber Sunbeam or Charm Glow electric bug killer to make your yard patio or a pool a pleasure day or night. Battery-operated or portable TVs to entertain, radios, all Polk priced. All Polk stores are open every weeknight until 10, Sundays until 6, so the whole family can get outfitted for this year's vacation in Chicagoland.
From the WIND Weather Center, here's an updated forecast. This afternoon, mostly sunny and pleasant. High in the upper 70s, but cooler near the lake. Tonight, fair, low from mid-60s near the lake to near 60 west. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high near 80. Chance for scattered late afternoon showers or thunderstorms. On Monday, partly sunny and pleasant, high near 80. The wind southwest 5, humidity 48%. Along the lake, 70 at both airports at 75 degrees.
WIND reminds you that registration for fall classes is now underway at Barrett College. For information, call Barrett College in Lake Forest.
I'm Dick Elliott, WIND News. It's 2:05. It's back to Norman Mark.
Thank you. In this hour, we're scheduled to speak to a woman who has a book out, Love Has No Boundaries. It is the first book printed on lavender or pink paper with pink ink, Dick.
Pink ink?
Yeah, come in and take a look at this stuff. It is, it's really
on lavender paper yet.
Oh, yes. It's going to be a big book. Let me see. I've got all of the records here of the book. One second. It is, let me see. One second. It's the first romantic novel to be printed on pink paper and the first to be printed on a specially concocted shade of lavender ink. I mean, it is steamy, let me tell you. It is
hard to handle, isn't it?
Oh, yes. It's just filled with love and kisses and smooching and moonlight. And Elizabeth, he shouted, sorry I couldn't make it sooner. He threw his arms around her and warmly embraced her. Elizabeth returned the embrace and looked into his eyes. I love you, Elizabeth. By this time, Elizabeth was sobbing, and for a moment, she felt her body go almost limp, dropping her poster. She was holding a poster, I guess, at the time. I love you, Roger told her again.
Do you notice that paper turning a deeper shade of pink as you read that?
Possibly. Anyway, we are also going to continue with Dan Logan, Executive Director of Free Men. We're talking about men's rights and responsibilities, and that'll all be coming your way this hour. Right now, it is 2:06 in Chicago. I'm Norman Mark on WIND. And James, you've identified yourself as someone who is divorced. James? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Rick?
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Yes. I have a comment to make about your guest there. I'm 36 years old right now, and I was divorced for like 15 years. I was a bachelor when I was 20 years old again. And after over 100 various affairs over those years, I feel that you have to, it's responsibility, a man's responsibility to protect himself. And if you get caught, well, that's just part of the game. I got caught twice myself. I had to pay for an abortion, a couple of abortions, which I felt very, very badly about. And, of course, I didn't like paying the money either. But, hey, that's the game.
No, wait a minute. You have been caught twice paying for a woman's abortion?
Yes.
And your attitude is, hey, that's the game?
That's just the game.
I would think that the attitude might be that you might have learned something after the first one, Rick.
Well, I 2 times out of...
You don't have to tell me how many times, Rick.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I didn't feel those were too bad odds anyway, after 15 years.
I want to raise another issue, which is, how'd you feel about those abortions? That sounds like a pretty horrible thing to me.
Yeah.
And we rarely hear about how men feel about these things.
Yeah, I felt very bad, but I really wasn't in a position to get married, and I really didn't want to support a child, and it was a tough thing. It was a very tough thing.
Well, you see, it's tough for a man too. Men have feelings.
But from what I'm hearing from Rick, women would say it's much tougher on the woman than on the man.
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean,
would
he's saying,
agree with
hey,
that.
it was a tough thing, but that's the way the game is played. I mean, he's not saying my son or daughter isn't there now that would have been, and I would have loved to have been to their 8th birthday party or something like that.
Well, either.
Yeah, I guess you kind of try and put that off to the side, you know, in the back of your mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But deep down, it's, I guess that is there. Those thoughts are there.
Okay, thank you very much for that call, Ray.
I really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. 591-5656. Jackie?
Oh, hi.
Come on in.
You know, I think so much of it, we need to educate both men and women more about how to get along with each other. And I think both sexes, I think Dan's right, they both need equal rights. I don't know whether a federal law would do it because we have so many different customs in different parts of the country.